earth, man. But if you look at it from a physical standpoint, just physiology, you look at it from our small intestinal tract, even when you get into the pH balance of something called trypsin, amylose, the way our mouth and our salivary glands produce these alkalining breaking down agents, we are frugivores.
People don't believe that you can break down the sugar that's in fruit because they think of it in the same way they think about white sugar, and why you can eat fruit without worrying about the sugar aspect.
Of course. So when you got sugar, you got three main bases of sugars. You got galactose, you have fructose, which is actually naturally occurring in your fruits, and then you have glucose, which is naturally occurring in your vegetables. That your fructose yields 12,000 angstroms of energy. Your glucose or your vegetables only yield 9,000 angstroms of energy. Fruits is good. The only way I can heal diabetes 1 or 2 is by way of fructose. When you get somebody with diabetes and they're insulin dependent, you have something called the islands of Langerhans. So they'll say that sugar raises the glucose. You a glucose load on fruits, which is a total lie. Every diabetic patient that I've had that had 1 or 2 hyperglycemia that had or diabetes mellitus, we healed them on an all fruit diet with herbs. Now, this is the reason why. Fructose. When you eat fructose, fructose bypass the pancreas. The pancreas has something called the islands of Langerhans. You have the alpha cells, which produce glycogen. You have the beta cells that produce insulin. Then you have the delta cells that produce something called somatostatin. Somatostatin is a mixture of a growth pituitary hormone, and it's mixed with glycogen again. Well, in order to actually break down glucose and put glucose in the blood to penetrate a cell, that's what insulin does. Insulin is used as a key. So insulin is a key that take glucose, unlock the cellular membrane, and then the cell swallows the glucose and eat it. Then it gets actually broken down and metabolized by something called the mitochondria, and then you yield something called ATP, ADP, and AMP, adenosine triphosphate, adenosine monophosphate, and adenosine diphosphate. This is the energy. So we talking about carbon. Carbon is on your periodic table. All carbon is sugar. Sugar breaks down into carbon. Carbon, what happens is you eat some sugar, right? You will eat the sugar. Once the sugar gets converted in the body, it is CHO. What the conversion is taken out of that hydrogen, because hydrogen is acidic. So once you take the hydrogen out of the CHO, it's just carbon and oxygen. This is alkaline. So sugar is alkaline. What's not alkaline is when they take the sugar out of something like a corn, because corn have natural fructose, and then they burn it and change the chemical composition because they put fire to it. The moment you put fire to it, it changes the chemical composition. Now they're heightening it. So they call this high fructose corn syrup. Now it's no longer a fructose, it becomes a dextrose, or it becomes a pentose, which is a 5-sugar phosphate, or they call it sucrose. These things are called polysaccharides. See that we're not talking about monosaccharides. Monosaccharides is what's in your fruits, what's in your vegetables. Polysaccharides is what they're creating in these men's laboratories. That's what's bad for us. But back to the fructose. Let me show you how amazing fruits is. If you are diabetic and your pancreas is down, because whether it got a fluke worm in it, Fascioloscus bushki worm in it, a hookworm, a thread worm, usually you find parasites inside of the pancreas when somebody is suffering from diabetes, and you find that mucus is down or the adrenals are down, because the adrenals is in control of something called the autonomic nervous system. The prefix to autonomic is auto. These are things that runs on autopilot. Digestion is supposed to be on autopilot. The flickering of your eyes is on autopilot. Your breathing and your lung capacity is on autopilot. The heartbeat is on autopilot. All these are controlled by the parasympathetic, sympathetic, autonomic nervous system. Well, your pancreas yielding insulin, that's a nervous system issue because the adrenals are down. And the reason why the adrenals are down because you're eating the wrong foods, and these foods are creating toxins and byproducts that you're not getting out of your body because you haven't opened up the lymphatic system and the kidneys to filtrate all of that toxemia out, or your skin is not working. Now check this out. That's the pancreas being down. So what food can I eat that don't break down the glucose? The only other food that I got is fructose. Now, would you glucose load for a couple of days? Yes, you will, because you introducing your body to a new sugar, but it's a natural occurring sugar by Yahweh. So you have 2 types of digestion, right? You have pancreas digested enzymes that break down the actual glucose. Not only that, the pancreas yields the islands of Langerhans and yields insulin to turn that key to bring glucose to the cell so you can have energy. Fructose completely bypass the pancreas. It go a lipid route. This lipid route is through the liver, and then it's called cellular infusion, where the actual sugar will infuse itself in the cell and don't even use the pancreas. And there's plenty articles, the government articles written up on this, and we have the clinical trials with at least 100 diabetics that prove this stuff, that we healed them on an all fruit diet with minimum herbs.
Which fruits have